Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm excited to share how you can create a fun cutout card using Cricut and the Cricut card mat. So let's get into it. First we're going to start in Cricut Design Space. I'm going to start with a square. My card is a square and is 4.75 inches wide and long. And so I'm going to go ahead and create this as a template. Next I'm going to go ahead and upload my image. We're going to be using Print Then Cut with this project. So if you don't know how to upload an image, I'm going to show you how to do that here. You select your image. Mine has a white background. I want to remove that, so I'm going to go ahead and click the background. There's also a little bit of white inside of his fingers here. I'm going to click that as well. And now this background will be transparent. We're going to use the flat graphic setting. I'm going to rename it, and then it'll insert it into my canvas. I'm just resizing it real quick, and before I get too far, I'm going to go ahead and save it. We're going to add some text. This will be actually printed text that I'll add an offset. I'm going to just go ahead and pick a cute font from the Cricut Design Space library. This one's cute. I'm just going to change it to all caps real quick, and then we'll be ready to go. Next, just to make sure that I have it centered. I do want to print this, so I'm going to change it from basic to Print Then Cut, and then I'm going to add an offset. You do that by clicking the offset button, and I always use my white background. Since it will be printed, I want a white background. Now I'm just changing the color, making it a little bit darker. And we're going to grab both the text and the offset, and we're going to flatten that. This way it'll be printed and the offset will be cut around it. Next, I'm adding an offset to the Swedish Chef here. I want to make this offset quite a bit larger because I do want this to be the cutout on the card. Okay, here I'm adding the offset around the little graphic. This is going to be a pretty close offset. I want to switch it over to white because I want that white border. And then I want to make sure I grab those two, the offset and the image, and flatten that so that it prints and then cuts around it like we want it to. And here I'm just resizing everything. I'm grouping it together so I can resize it and keep it all in the right space. And then I'm going to go ahead and align it just so I can get a good idea of how it's going to look on my card. And the next thing we're going to do is resize the text here. It does look a little large, so I'm just going to eyeball it by putting it over the square, kind of get an idea of how it would look inside the card. Let's shrink that up a little bit because it is a little bit big. So we can just do that real quick. And then now we're going to hide the square. We don't need that square anymore. That was just a placeholder. And then I want to make sure that I have everything correct here. I'm ungrouping it because we need to change that second offset, that pink one, from a Print Then Cut to a basic cut. And we just do that by selecting that one image and then switching it over from Print Then Cut to basic. And then I'll just change the color back to pink. That way I know what I'm doing here. Now that everything looks good, we're going to go ahead and click the Make It button. And it's going to take us to the next screen where we will set up our cutting and printing parameters. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and increase this to 2. That way we maximize the use of this paper. And I'm just moving them around a little bit to get them centered. Now on here, we want to make sure we pick the card mat. I'm using the 2x2 Cricut card mat. And then I want to select the appropriate card size, and that's going to be this S40. And as you can see, it actually shows you what that cutout is going to look like on your card, and that looks exactly how we want it to be. And then I'm just going back to resizing the first page. I'm going to send this to my printer and obviously connect my Explore 3, send it to my printer. Just look at all these parameters. I like to use the system dialog for my printing, and then I click on the medium cardstock, and I always use more pressure just because I want to make sure that everything cuts appropriately. And then that's going to go ahead and get printed, and then I'll show you the rest. Okay, so I printed the image out on my inkjet printer. I'm just using a regular inkjet printer, and I'm actually using this inkjet glossy photo paper. I really like this photo paper. It's really thick. It's 62 pounds in weight, and it's great for cards and stuff, and even photos for scrapbooking or whatever. So check this out. I'll link it below. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put this on a light grip mat. I'll just use my ruler here. You can also use a brayer. So the Cricut is going to go and read these registration marks. That's how it knows how to cut around the images that we put into Cricut Design Space. Okay, so before you take it out of the machine, you just want to make sure that it cut all the way, and it did. So then we can go ahead and eject it out. And then we'll just take these off and put those aside. Okay, so I'm using the Cricut brand insert cards. They're the S40 cards. So I'm going to be using 2 of the blue cards and also 2 of the pink inserts. And then I'll be using the 2x2 card mat. This can work with the Cricut machines, the Cricut Explore 3 and the Maker. And you can do up to 4 cards at a time, but we're only doing 2. Plastic thing to lift up, and then you put your card in and just push it all the way back and all the way to the top, and then press it down. Let's see. There it is. Okay, so now when it's time to cut your card, you're going to make sure that you have the right card selected on your mat, and then you go to select materials and look for the cardstock, the insert cardstock. And I always like to use more pressure just to get a better cut. And then it also tells you about the wheels, which I'll show you right now. So with this, you're going to want to make sure you move the wheels to the middle. Let's just move this out of the way a little bit. Okay. Just move these white wheels to the center so that way they don't create lines on your project. So you just want to carefully lift off the card. Okay, next we're getting the pink insert cards and some tape runner, adhesive. And what I like to do is just apply the adhesive along the bottom, top, and all around. I get our card. I just put it in the middle there. And now you have the background for your image. Now we're going to get some three-dimensional adhesive and our cutouts. And then just stick it right there in the center. And then we're gonna get the birthday, put it in the center here, inside the card. And now you have a cute birthday card. Of course, you can use any image you want, any text, but this is a fun way to do that with print then cut and the Cricut insert cards. So I hope you like this project. If you have any questions, be sure to drop them below. And as always, thank you for watching.